So we're here again. This is yet another video on my Hermes series, my Hermes journey series, I should specify. So in this video, we're going to do a little more storytelling basically, and I'm going to share what my in-person visit was like. That's what I'm going to share with all of you. Okay, so disclaimers. First, let me say, we've arrived. I'm going to say this at the beginning of every video. We've arrived. We are at our vacation/retirement home in France. Yeah, we'll be here for 2 months. If you haven't seen the video of the house tour, check it out. I will hopefully remember to add the link. If not, go to my YouTube page. Everything is right there. You'll get to see all the goodies. Let's get into this video. And I'm reading notes, so bear with me as I'm reading notes. Okay, disclaimer. What worked to our advantage, Hubs and I? Okay, Hubs is French. That worked tremendously to our advantage, okay? Because you could go into a place and, you know, they won't even know that I'm American, right? Because Hubs the majority of the time is talking. And so I take full advantage of that, you know, especially in this scenario and situation. So that's the disclaimer, you know, that really truly works to our advantage. Because I love Hermes, Hubs loves Hermes by association. And this also works to my advantage because I don't have to explain anything to him. He gets it immediately, automatically. So boom, enough said. We had the funds because we planned for it. And I want to emphasize this. We had the funds because we planned for it. I know people post videos like, oh, this is what I got. Here's an unboxing. Listen. We just don't have money like that. So we plan diligently for these things, especially if it's something that I want. And so I will discuss this more in depth, but I want to continue to echo this. We had the funds because we planned for it. Okay? Our home is only an hour away from Paris. That's another thing that worked to our advantage. So we don't have to stay in Paris. We just hop on the rails or the train and we just take it to Paris and then we return after. Even though we do have the option to stay the night if we so choose, I prefer to be at home at the end of the day. So I love being on a train. Listen, it just makes me wooey just thinking about it. I love trains. Okay, I know it's a side note, but it's true. All right, enough of that. Let me make sure there's nothing else. Throughout this experience, we kept an eye on the local news for protests because it is happening currently in France, and it could directly impact transit, period, and our experience, period. So Hubs made sure that he kept an eye out on if there were protests on the days we decided to visit Paris, and he continues to do so. So try to keep up with current and local events where you're traveling to, because it could impact you, right? Now, the in-person visit, shopping. Let's talk about this. Okay, so when we arrived, we were immediately greeted and directed to the right department because we were in the wrong department. But the person was very tentative and listened to what we needed and wanted. It wasn't busy. We arrived at 10:30, so as soon as the doors opened. Listen, I had so much fun. I stayed 3 hours. We stayed there 3 hours. When Hubs told me that, I was like, no, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about more of that later. The hostess, I'll say hostess, was really of no assistance. She made it very clear that she was a hostess and that's all she did. She did instruct us to wait for someone to become available, and she would assign someone to us. I opted to just kind of roam around because it was taking a while, and I was baffled by this because no one was in the store. So Hubs went up to her again and reminded her we were waiting. And in the meantime, who was in the store? The people shopping there seemed to be locals because they all basically had quota bags. So they already, it looked as though they were already clients. They weren't new, as like myself. I had my vintage Kelly I carried that day, but these bags were like new bags, and there were some very rare bags as well. So just most desired bags, So I knew these weren't like just, I knew these were regulars, basically, is what I'm saying. It picked up a little bit before we left, and that was about 1:30-ish, but still not very busy, right? I will say, be kind to everyone you come in contact with. When we arrived, right, and I told you we didn't have an essay, we were instructed to wait. So as we were roaming around, we passed the person who would end up being our essay several times. And didn't even know it. Like we all just kind of passed each other as we were doing that. And she wasn't assigned to us, but walked over to us at some point and asked if we needed assistance. And by the time the hostess did come to us and say she assigned someone to us, it was funny because our essay was like, oh no, I'm already helping. And the hostess seemed sincerely surprised that this particular person was helping us. And I don't know why, but yeah, my essay was like, no, it's fine. They're already being taken care of. And so that happened, and she just seemed to gravitate towards us. So like I said, be kind to who you come across in the store, because you just never know who is going to want to work with you, right? Be patient. Please be patient. I know for us, we could have went crazy and been like, listen, you need to get us somebody now. We've been waiting 10 minutes. But instead, we just were like, let's just wait and see. I'm not in a hurry. I literally had all day. Okay, I planned for this. I had all day. But eventually we did have someone come, and it wasn't an assigned person, but someone who actually just sincerely seemed to want to help. Be transparent with what you want. After our essay began to show me ready to wear pieces, I was upfront and told her, like, listen, I want a quota bag. And of course, she just kind of echoed what I think is generally what people's essays say at Hermes. It's like, you have to be patient. And of course, it's a process. And I was like, I am not patient. And Hubs was like, she is not a patient person. But we were prepared. So it was funny because she just looked at me and just smiled and just... She just kind of laughed, but I was just like, listen, I'm not a patient person. And she was also convinced that getting a quota bag was easier in the US than here in France. And I thought that was interesting. And this was based on what her US clients shared with her. And I thought, well, that's good to know, because I have an essay in the US as well. So I'll be able to see if it is easier or if it's, if not, and I'll be able to share it with all of you. Oh, listen, if you're thirsty, ask for water. If you need to use the facilities, ask to use the facilities, okay? If you're not offered refreshments, ask for refreshments. That is perfectly fine. We were offered refreshments throughout, but there came a point, we were there for 3 hours. So when there came a point where I was just perched, I was just so perched. And I was like, I need something to drink. And she was just like, oh my goodness, such and such, can you get her some water? And they, ran off and rushed and brought me back some water. And then we took a break because we were there for so long and I was trying on so many things. But we took a break and kind of, I set the pace. She allowed me to set the pace. So all I'm saying is, imposter syndrome be damned. Get out the way. If you are thirsty, if you need to relieve yourself, if you just want to go have a moment to yourself and just take in that moment and inhale, exhale, and pause for a second, do it. You don't need to wait or permission. You can ask like, hey, you know, I'm thirsty. Do you mind if I can get some water? And you'll be amazed how kind people are. I know some essays and what people say about some Hermes essays and so on and so forth in their experience, but still, it doesn't prevent you from getting a cup of water. That's just my opinion. It doesn't prevent you from getting a cup of water. We started with belts because, as I said in the video, a couple of videos prior, Hubs needed a belt and it was on his wish list. So our essay at first reacted kind of like, oh, when we said belt, she was like, oh, one of those people, right? And this was before. So when she first met us, she was like, oh, you know, and then she, you know, immediately started to assist Hubs with his belt. And then I inquired about my own belt. And she was basically like, you know, this is what we have, but it's limited, you know. And at that point, I kind of got that feeling of you're one of those people type vibes. So I was like, oh, and we're also looking for. I shared with her all the things we were interested in. And honey, listen. She went into some type of mode. Like it's a light switch turned on. Like she was like, okay, this is about to get real quick. Like, so she went ahead and we finished up with Hubs, then we moved to the ready to wear for me. She just was like, okay, what is your aesthetic? What do you look for? And sure enough, I'm getting ahead of myself. Ahead of myself. Let me stop there. We'll get there. Yeah, I went through the list. She became extremely eager to assist us, and I'm happy about that because I feel people go in, and a lot of times, yes, we do the small leather goods and the belts, and sometimes it's because we're kind of intimidated. But once I did that, you know, all eyes were on us, and her attention was completely focused on us, and it was noticeable, the shift in attitude. If you want something in particular, ask for it. So if you went online and you saw something you really wanted to try on, ask to see if they have it. But also look around for yourself, because when I inquired about the Constance 24 in Palladium, she told me it wasn't available. But at some point when I was going through the ready to wear, I noticed that there was the belt I was looking for. And so I told her, and she immediately apologized and was like, oh my God, you got so lucky. And she's right, because there were belts, but they weren't belts I was looking for, interested in. She went and got the belt strap that I was wanting, and boom, I got the belt. So always look for yourself and take your time looking, because I know for me at first I felt rushed, but then like I was kind of like doing laps. After like the second time around, I really slowed down because I really started to ease into the atmosphere and the attention, because sometimes the attention we're given can be a bit much, especially if you're not used to having someone's undivided attention completely, right? Ask, look around, and for yourself. I have to emphasize this. Listen, I have to emphasize this. The essay is a professional, okay? So allow the essay to do their job, okay? I'm saying this because there are times when we go in and we have a specific mindset, there's something specific we want, and we want to lead ourselves, right? But let me tell you, our essay was amazing, okay? So I will say, let the essay know what you like and then allow them to guide you. Remember, not everything is on the floor, and so the essay has access to things you will not see on display. And I will emphasize that part, because our essay, once she got a feel of my style and aesthetic, she immediately like kind of disappeared and came back with things that weren't even on the floor. So keep that in mind. Trust the process. And I know that's hard because you got to trust someone in order to trust the process, but trust the process, trust your essay, especially as they're getting to know you. Try things on. I tried on everything the essay brought out, and even if I wasn't 100% sure, I just collected the things, went and tried them on. I was very open-minded. I had to try to be open-minded. I mean, some of the things I was like, what the hell? But I still tried them on, and I was amazed because, first off, you know I'm a neutral monochrome person. We all know that is my thing. So I wanted to push myself a little and experiment. And sure enough, a number of the pieces were a no at first. But midway, everything she presented was a yes, a resounding yes. I mean, all of it was just me. And I just was like, oh my gosh, she gets me. She sees me. So trust the essay. The essay is a professional. If you get the right type of essay, not every essay is going to be the one for you. So it's about finding the one that clicks with you, who gets you. That's just my opinion. Even the colorful scarf. This is one I got in the US, but I've gotten another one here. I was amazed because at first when she showed it to me, I was like, absolutely not. And it's a bigger one. I was just so skeptical. But then when she tied it on me and showed me like how to wear it and everything, it was just so effortlessly chic. Do you hear me? I was like, okay, I have to have this. And if I wasn't open to that, I would have missed that opportunity. So this coming from a person who is, like I said, a neutral monochrome person. Like, I just stick with that aesthetic. It's just who I am. As you can see, that's what I'm wearing today. Right? But splash of color. And it's like, oh my God, I'm really, really good right now. You know? So be open. That's what I'll say to that. So let's move on. She did such a good job that Hubs and his mother, when they saw the pieces, they were like, oh my God, this is so you. Like, I knew that already, but it never hurts to get another opinion to make sure you're just not buying things to buy things, right? So that's another tip I have for you. If you can get a second or third opinion from someone who knows you, then do that. Because I feel it was confirmation that the essay really did get me. And I value that. I do. I don't want to waste time when I go into the shop or the store. You know, I know what I want. I know what I like. And the closer she can get to those pieces, the better. Because then I can get out of the store quicker. That's just who I am, right? Oh, the pieces that the essay had selected for me, she showed me several ways of wearing them. Now that I thought was impressive because I've not heard anyone share anything like that before. So this essay, I mean, she went out of her way to show me how to tie scarves, but then also how to use the cardigan. And the dress I ended up purchasing, she also showed me how to, you know, wear it if I so chose to wear it as a jacket, how to do that in a very sleek and sophisticated way. So that type of thing I love. I don't want just one piece that I can just wear once and then I put it away, or I just wear one way. I love things that I can wear several ways and I can continuously wear, because that's why I buy what I buy, right? It's money. This is a lot of money we're talking about. So get things you can use and use on repeat. And so that's what she was showing me that I could do with these pieces. Now, I didn't emphasize that, but she just picked that up. She knew that about me. So it was great. Don't be afraid to say no if something isn't your style. She gave me a couple, it was like 2 sweaters, and I just was like, no. Not for that money. I'm just saying no. And she just was like, okay. But as I was saying no, she ended up moving closer and closer to things that I did like and appreciate. So just know you can say no, and it's perfectly fine. If you're visiting between seasons, I said this earlier in a previous video, do not hesitate to ask when the new collection is coming out. If you're still going to be in town, then you can wait for that season to be released as well. So then you're seeing 2 different seasons. Like right now, spring is out, but I can also see fall and winter because it's about to hit that collection is about to hit the floors soon as well. So ask the question if you're in between seasons, so that you can, even if it's beforehand, so that you can, be prepared to see both seasons if that's what you so choose, right? Ooh, yes. Also be mindful if it is in between seasons. I felt that some of the collection that was out was being pushed hard. And I'm not saying by my specific essay, but as I was looking around and noticing other people who were shopping, it was being pushed real hard. So just be mindful of that, because if you're in between and you're wanting to wait on the newer collection, then I would say, do that, right? Even if they try to push or, try to persuade you, oh, this season or this piece from this specific collection is so just, yeah, I don't think I need to say anything else. If you are coming between seasons, make sure you go online and look at both collections. I've said this before in a previous video, but it's true. Before you come, go online and look at both collections. And if the one that is new hasn't been released online yet, go on to Runway and check and see if there's any pieces that really pop for you. This is important. This was important for me because we came, we're in between seasons. So I made sure that while in the US, I looked at the current season, which is spring, and then I also looked at fall, winter from the runway perspective. But then when we landed and got here, I went on a French website, which you can do anywhere as well. You can look at both. I looked on a French website and then I did both again, looked at the spring and then I looked at fall and winter. And I took screenshots so that I know what I liked and was reminded, but then also so I could show the essay to see if it was available. Okay? Other thoughts. I had mentioned in the previous video for the lottery appointment that the system was faulty that day. I did mention this to the hostess, the essay, and several other people, and they just were like, it happens. So just know, don't expect a magical appointment or anything like that to happen, but it never hurts to mention it. I don't know. Only buy what you want and love. Don't buy things in hopes of getting a bag. This is something Hubs always reminds me of, but at this point, he really doesn't have to. But we both agree on this. Like, we're not shopping just for the sake of shopping. We are not those people. So we make sure, what we're going to get is something that we're going to use, but then continuously use several times over and over again on repeat, right? I asked the essay how long she worked at Hermes, but not just Hermes in general, but that particular location. I think that's important because I watched a video of someone who said that they were shopping with an essay and come to find out it was a seasonal worker. And all the promises that essay made to her were basically, it didn't produce anything. And I was like, okay, I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want that to happen to you. So just inquire, in a friendly, conversational way. Like, hey, how long have you been working for Hermes? How long have you, worked at this location? Now, what's interesting is that my essay had worked at Hermes elsewhere in a different country and ended up at this Hermes. So that was an interesting tidbit and a good story as well. And when I asked her this, she giggled. She was like, what? Is she trying to be my friend? And it's not that I was trying to be a friend. Actually, I just wanted to know, like, are you legit? Like, don't be having me thinking that I'm building a relationship with someone and you're just only here for a hot minute or 5 seconds. I'm just saying, I'm trying to be like long. I don't like the idea of having to go into a store and be there forever. I like going into a store, seeing someone, and getting out of there. So that's just my preference. Our essay continued to tell us that if we saw things, to make sure we snatched it up, because guess what? Stock is limited. So when you go and you see something, make sure you're holding it in your hand. Because when it comes to ready to wear, I don't know about anything else, but ready to wear, So yes, she was like, you know, there's only one of those. There's only in that one size, that one color, there's only one. So you need to make sure you're snatching up and holding it, especially in between seasons. Stock is low and limited. So that's another tidbit for you. I learned that our SA prefers not to do leather appointments, even though she can. And I thought that was very interesting. I thought, I don't know how the process works. So I can't say I thought anything about it until we started talking and she mentioned it. Her preference is to focus on clothing and fashion. She really, really likes it. And I can tell how she just effortlessly puts things together for me. So, you know, FYI, not everyone wants to be giving you a leather appointment because it's not everyone's favorite thing to do. Who knew? She asked me not to contact her requesting bags, and I completely agree and respect that. I feel that if she did have something for me, she would reach out. I mean, she's very straightforward, very direct when it comes to the matter. And so I trust that, you know, if she sees something that's like, oh my God, that's so Yvette Sojourner, I know she would like, okay, I'm gonna send her a message. This is how my SA operates in the US. There's something I didn't know. There are SAs that work across departments. I did not know this. It was surprising. Like, our SA was in ready to wear, then she went to belts, then she went to shoes, then we went to silk, to the scarves. Wherever I said I wanted to go, she was taking me there. And we basically, she basically would show me whatever it was I was requesting. I didn't know that. So, you know, that's just another FYI for you. Like, if you're new to the process, or if you've been doing it for years, I don't know. It's new for me. But yeah, we got really lucky seeing she was just able to go into departments like that and just show us whatever it was I wanted. I mean, I was asking for all kinds of things. And she was like, okay, let's go. And we would just continue to move, and that was amazing. So that was a great experience. And so that is it for today, okay? This video. Yeah, I hope that you stay tuned. I'm sorry it went over. I wanted it to be short, but because I had such a phenomenal experience, I wanted to make sure I shared all of it with you and try to give as much information as I could. Now, with that being said, I really do hope you glean something of use from this video, and I'm just not rattling on, even though we all know I'm really good at it. Rattling on and on about something. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time.